Okay, but any seed that you germinate produces very similar enzymes. And so your idea in the water of using plant materials or sprouting seeds is an excellent one because you're going to release the same enzymes and have them working from the inside and outside the seed shell. So I think that would be worth your time to experiment with. Is get it doesn't matter what seeds you use. You could use fuck, it doesn't matter. That's anyway. Uh, do rice if you want, or legumes. Um, that kind of thing. Things that you know are easily to germinate. And as the enzymes are produced, that's why you soak seeds is to hydrate those enzymes and get them to start functioning. And
I
that's
hadn't
why I
thought.
designed, because if seeds could germinate easily, it would be difficult to store them because any kind of moisture would cause them to sprout. So that's why we soak seeds in, depending on your orientation. I like using kelp meal, and you could use alfalfa, would be a good one. Alfalfa seeds, sprout that in water, and you take that water and soak it in that. I think you'd be way ahead of the game. It'd be that's all Mammoth Microbes was alfalfa extract for $750 a gallon. So, alfalfa seeds. So,
I haven't tried to use peas or anything like that, but I'll have to try that.
yeah, I mean even panel beans, whatever. A legume's the legume.
Have you thought about adding coconut water?
I've tried coconut water before. I haven't tried it this run though. Maybe I'll do one where I do like four seeds in each one or something like that, or five seeds in each one on a bigger batch of seeds.
I mean, coconut's just the biggest seed in the world. I mean,
Oh
all those
yeah,
en all those enzymes floating around there. I mean, yeah, I fear it turning quicker than it going sour and sour.
probably have to go get like a coconut from the grocery store and use that
There you
coconut
go.
water rather than like a pasteurized.
Yeah,
We're fortunate here because there's a huge Asian community, and so the Asian markets always have fresh coconuts, or they sell a glass of coconut water, milk, whatever you want to call it, with ice and everything. It really, this dog, I swear. But yeah, that'd be a coconut would be an excellent idea.
And I'll
But
have to try
I do my vegetable seeds always. I do at least fulvic acid. Dr. Roberts fulvic acid. He's got it on the label, the amount to use, and that really triggers germination.
I was just getting our page all updated here. What else is new with you, Coot? What are you up to these days?
Enjoying life and being retired. Yeah, it's there's nothing. I don't know anybody in the cannabis business here. Everybody got out, sold their licenses, sell somebody else the dream. Here, I mean, they've got coolers here. Storage, where you freeze frozen stuff, stuffed with cannabis. Can't get rid of it. And there's only 4 million people in this state. how much do you think? That's everybody, grandmas to, infants. That's not a big market. There's more people in San Francisco than that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild how much it's changed.
It's crazy. Okay, good example. These guys have been in business since 1936. It's called Concentrates. They're a farm store. And maybe 20, 30 years ago, they decided they were going to go after the organic growers and buy so instead of just having alfalfa meal, it's organic alfalfa. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And they had two large facilities across it was in a business park, and they had two large warehouses. Okay. So my wife had to get some stuff for her yard garden, and she stopped there to pick up whatever. And they had to close one because of lack of business. And there is no cannabis business. It's been gone for like 3 years. Uh, you can't make any money. It's, I
Yeah,
mean,
the
even
market.
if you could make $500 a pound, trimmed, ready to go,
Yeah.
you know, because here it's we don't do plant count. It's by square foot. Your license is either 20,000 or 40,000 square feet. And it doesn't have to be contiguous. So that's why I always advise using the large pots because you can move them around. And by doing that, you get more sun on your plants, like you saw in the photograph. But now it's just dog shit, you know, the most garbage fertilizers possible because hey, they're gonna spray it anyway. You don't have to have any good weed. Take it in and spray some distillates on it and call it, oh yes, this is Gorilla Glue number 4 modified, or this is Blue Dream, or just
The
anyway.
improved version of Blue Dream.
Yeah, and then all that for not even sometimes even $150 a pound because they can turn it into pre-rolls and the other shit, Pre-rolls is the big one.
Yeah,
42%
it's
of
all
sales.
pre rolls and carts now.
Yeah. Oregon pre-rolls and carts account for 42% of sales, according to the Oregon Cannabis Commission.
Crazy. I know here a lot of people that are sitting on pounds are just doing static separation now. They'll just
Yeah.
dry sift it all and static separate it. You get a
Yeah.
really nice product. I got some really fire. This stuff here is so good. Here. This stuff, I know it looks like old school brown hash, but it's rosin. Yeah, it's like kind of like bricky rosin, but it smells and tastes just like guava. It is so good. So fucking good. And it's just static separated heads.
The hard thing to accept, sometimes reality is, but the people primarily that are buying from, at least here in this state, they're buying at dispensaries, they could give a shit less about quality. I mean, that's not even in the discussion. If some rapper or an influencer, I love that term, influencer, uh, recommends a strain or something, then that's the deal. Like take this one called Blue Dream. I was handed that in 2016. I let it go for 5 weeks before I cut it down. All of us have grown long enough that you can see disaster in the making. I mean, if you get a dog with 3 legs, it's still got 3 legs. This stuff was complete shit, but I guess it gives a lot of yield, mediocre yield, but that's all you got to have is the bulk because you can do all kinds of shit with it. Spray it, pre-roll, carts. You can hide a number of sins in the cartridge. That's really easy. And he still can't sell it. You got signs in windows all over town, ounces $35. That's what I paid in high school in 68. Probably wasn't an ounce, but whatever. Yeah, the cannabis culture is over. You have pockets.
Well, I'm not quite ready to say it's over, but
Oh, I smoke all the time.
its glory days have definitely seemed to have passed,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Well, they have better delivery system. I mean, what could be more convenient than stopping by one of 1,000 dispensaries in Oregon and buying flavored pre-rolls? It fits the lifestyle. You got some weed, sort of, okay, and now you can go clubbing or whatever they do. But even beer places, the West Coast was one of the epicenters of the microbrewery deal. And it started in the late 80s and it ran hard. At one time, there were 50 tap rooms in Portland, and most of them were closed.
Yeah, well, but like that just seems to be it seemed to be a fad that like didn't wasn't able to hold because like it was the same
Yep.
thing here. They
Right.
just like it was like grand opening, grand closing, like it was done.
Yeah.
Like it
Well, one
was
of them
like
that closed was they weren't the first big one, but they were at least in the first five. How's that? And they were around since 87. And then one day I turned on the news and they said, and they had a brewery right at the beach in Lincoln in Newport Bay. You couldn't ask for, I mean, the whole thing. They had T-shirts and they had the glass, the merch. And if you were on a holiday and you stopped there, you bought, a T-shirt and a cap or, whatever. And then just, it was instant. They announced that they closed on Friday, and this was like on a Wednesday, 2 days. It's just done. And the first store in America that sold ingredients to make beer for the home
yeah.
started here in 1918, right after World War One. Their last day was past December. After what 105, whatever it was, just gone. I mean, that's where I used to get all my grains, and fuck, full bags, 55 pounds for $30. Barley. Of course, that does cause microbial collapse, so you have that to contend with.
Mr.
Lapse
Microbial
and prolapse.
Prolapse.
Huh?
Mr. Microbial Prolapse was on a
Yeah.
podcast this week. I saw. Fucking idiot.
It's just, I don't know, the whole, you go into the there's like,
Did
in
you
one
know
town there,
compost tea makes your soil collapse completely? That's his new thing. Compost teas destroy your garden. Really? Because I know people running it like 45 years that have had no issues. Just the fucking moron doesn't know how to fucking actually make a compost tea or a KNF input.
he can't grow.
Mm-mm. He lives in Utah and he's trying to come off as a cannabis expert. Dude, get the fuck out of here. Fucking Utah.
Uh, uh, hey, I did my part. I showed people how to do stuff and save money. So,
Someone asked about
Oh
how
yeah.
we're doing the static. We have my buddy has a really nice static machine. So if I want to run anything, I can just pop over there. But he has the really nice kind with the two plates, air compressor, and it's you can do like
yeah.
pounds and pounds of dry sift at a time with it. It's nice. But if you're doing it at home, you can
How
take
big are the
like
plates?
uh they're like bigger, a little bit bigger than the plates you would use for like a freeze dryer. If that makes sense. They're like, I don't know, maybe half a meter by like a
I,
quarter of a meter. Or
okay,
maybe a little bit longer, maybe a meter long. Now that I think about it, almost a meter long and then about half a
I don't
meter
need a
wide.
calendar to remind me that I'm an old fart. I get it. I still get excited opening up a bag of properly cured buds from a properly grown plant and enjoying that the whole thing of cleaning it and the smell and you're getting into what you worked for instead of, hey, let me pop in and pick up some. You want strawberry or blueberry this time? Fuck you. Yeah, grow up here. Smoke some real weed.
Someone in chat asked about home grow scale. So if you're a home grow scale, you can get they make these wands. I mean I haven't seen one in a store in a minute, but I also haven't been in like the kids section of the store for a while. At least the girls section. But they used to make these static wands and little girls would like roll it in glitter. You hold the button in and it has a battery, like a D battery in it or whatever. Hold the button in and it gets like a static charge, like a little electrical charge on it, and you would use it to pick up glitter, and then they can run around and it makes like a wanding glitter sparkle bullshit. Anyways, those things work great. You just put some wax paper on them. You used to be able to get them at Walmart and Target, I would imagine, or Amazon. I would imagine you still can. Again, I haven't looked for them in a while, but that's the cheapest route, and those were like $10, and you can get a piece of wax paper, put it on there, and that works good. You can also take a DVD case and just like rub it on your head like a balloon and put wax paper on it, and that will also work if you're like really ghetto in it.
You know, uh, this is just a throw out question for you.
Sure.
Okay. So if you were running a successful cannabis uh, venue of some kind, okay, and you were promoting yourself as an expert at growing, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Do you think that letting everybody know that you know all the bud tenders within a mile of your home is helpful? I
No.
just I just thought I'd toss that out. That's
No, we
one of
were
those.
someone asked if you saw Scotty's interview this week.
No, with
He's
who?
getting torn to shreds in the comment section. It's not Mr. Growit did the interview because I guess Mr. Growit didn't know the backstory behind Scotty. So
Oh,
made the mistake of giving him this time.
here's my this one stands out in my mind whenever I hear something about him, that person, Scotty Granola, as he originally called himself.
Scotty Scammon, what I like to call him.
This one will kind of like one of those reflex moments that you know that is vomit. Um, so I'm on the cannabis future cannabis project, and Peter, not one of his also rans that ran the other ones, whatever. And so without me knowing it, he calls this asshole because he'd been on a show several times, and all of a sudden, and camera slot number three is this piece of shit, and outdoor, blow up uh, pool, you know, and he's got his swimming trunks on, and this guy is whiter than a cue ball on a pool table. And my recollection of him is coming up out of the water. I kept thinking, oh my God, he's a beluga whale. And he was doing the interview going up and down out of the water like a whale. And I thought, this is like bizarre. This is really weird. Uh, he ended up in Utah. Uh,
Scotty the Grifter ended up in Utah.
what's that?
I said Scotty the Grifter ended up in Utah.
That I'll bet you that's because of his wife. He was from Southern Cal, and uh, no, never mind. Okay, I was called by a person who owned. Okay, it was Tad Hussey, and at that time, he and Lowenfels were doing the CannaCon circuit, and they would go there and present, their
Plus,
their deal, their companies. Okay.
two con artists right there.
Uh, well, okay.
Tad,
Yeah.
Tad, Tad's as bad as Scott is now. Fucking Tad's out there going, no large swollen nodes means you have HLVD. Bitch, I've tested so many plants for HLVD and not one had swollen nodes. And I've seen many plants with swollen nodes and not one had HLVD. Like he spreads the most bullshit assumption, both of them, Scotty and Todd, both just completely just make shit up out of thin air.
You're kinder than I would be in your assessment. But, when, okay, his dad, Leon, was a regular traveler from here in China, even before it was cool. And, okay, no, fuck. All right, I don't care. All right, have you ever seen the book Teaming with Microbes by Lowenfels, his first book? In there is a picture of a tea brewer from Simplicity. Get it? Simplicity, TEA. That was the company that Leon Hussey and ran with his son. And he logged in at the various cannabis websites, like all of them as CT guy. Get it? Compost tea underscore guy, CT guy. Okay. So when IC Mag blew up and Gypsy was popped over in the Philippines, um, everybody went their separate directions. So Tad and Leon decided they were going to do this Kiss Organics, keep it simple. And so it would be the Kiss Organics tea brewer and Kiss Organics soil. Anyway, you get the idea. Branding. And branding's important, especially if you're just selling bagged peat moss, who fucking cares? You know? I mean, it doesn't matter. You can make any claim you want. No one's regulating potting soil. Anyway, so they came down here to Oregon and took me to lunch to ask me if I'd like to join their company they were setting up. And then I would be in charge of Oregon sales to farms and what have you. I said, okay. And we're sitting at a really nice restaurant. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Where are you going to source all your materials? Well, concentrates. I said, like I do? Yeah. And every farmer I know, they've been around since 1938. So, if you want organic soil amendments, that's pretty much the deal. So why would anybody buy from me if they can go to concentrates direct instead of going through me to you to them? You got to haul it up to Seattle and then you bring it back on a truck for delivery. It doesn't make any sense. But I appreciate the offer and I wish you the best. So then they sold my stuff for what, 10 years? Never got a penny. Never a penny. And what's ironic is that when they opened their business, Jeremy had just started his business, Build a Soil. And at one time, just the powdered aloe vera from Australia, the concentrate, that alone covered his entire payroll, and he had 180 employees, just as an example. And he also carries the only product I ever put my name on. So it was a joke, and as it turned out, I get, I get a commission check every week. So gnarly barley.
There you
Right
So
go.
on. Coot gnarly barley.
I'll be right back. I gotta let my pups out. My dog's about to explode.
and Jeremy, man, like he has his own professional, not one backyard shit, a professional soil mixer to do like what is it, 200 bags an hour? Now, believe me, big soil companies they can do an entire truckload, which is 20 times 50, 1,000 bags, 8 minutes to mix that much soil. That's how big the mixers are. So now you want to talk about quality? Okay, sure.
I don't know if you've gotten any rain up there, but we've had some unusual rain lately. It's getting kind of late in the season to get rain here. It's kind of good.
Yeah, we had rain twice this week. Nothing but just to keep everything,
Yeah.
covered.
Keeping
And my
everything
brother
warm.
lives
Not
in
catching fire.
he lives in North Carolina, near Raleigh, and the whole East Coast, and Florida and Georgia. they've had a drought that's been ongoing now 5 months,
Yeah, my
and
buddy
they
was talking about how bad the drought's getting in Florida.
oh fires everywhere.
Yeah, he was
And
saying that like the alligators are like going to the culverts underneath the highway because it's like the last place with water left and shit.
yeah,
It's always good. The one thing I do like about droughts in Florida is it's great if you're fossil hunting. You can walk on the creek beds and find all kinds of cool shit. I was down there last time they had a bad drought visiting my uncle, and I found like a couple of arrowheads and a bunch of mammoth bones. It's really cool. So that's the one upside.
yeah. Here's the deal about Florida. It's one of the most beautiful states there is. The beaches. I mean, there's a lot of shitty areas too, believe me. But just stick to the positive. The most beautiful beaches, in that part of the world. But the humidity in the summertime is unbearable. I mean,
Get used to it.
no, 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 no. I lived in Kentucky. I know a bit about humidity, but nothing is like Florida in the summer.
The
But,
Thailand was basically the
well,
same
yeah,
too.
it's like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, just really.
You just get used to like just wearing shorts all the time, really. Not
Yeah,
much else.
yeah. And I've too the politics of the state. I mean,
Oh yeah, it's a shithole.
I'd
Well, all
rather be up here and with other commies and libs and the opposition party.
yeah, it's no good. But it is pretty. I mean, especially the Everglades and shit is beautiful, really cool.
Oh,
Watching
absolutely,
mosquitoes really fucking cool.
absolutely.
Overrun with all kinds of foreign animals now, but
Well, that green skin disease, I can't remember.
the citrus one,
Yeah,
yeah,
so a lot of orchards. Uh, I mean, they've been working on this thing for 20, 30 years. And there comes a point where, you have to pull the trees and do something about. A lot
yeah,
was put a barbed wire fence around it and run some cattle, you know. Um, anyway, this company out of, excuse me, the parents of these two gentlemen were old, old money going back 400 or 500 years in India. And they sent the one fellow, he went to UC Berkeley, and the other one was Rodale. Uh, yeah, yeah, Rodale, back in New York. So they formed a company, and the idea was we'll grow Karanja trees and grow them in Florida because the weather patterns of India and Florida, other than the hurricanes, are pretty similar. So, and there was some really big money involved in this. And they had a contract with the US government to sell the oil from the trees as a fuel for jets, for their fighter jets. Any rate, it didn't work out, and now all of a sudden these guys had, I don't know, 500 acres or something of trees. And they found my name being associated with, it's also known as Pangamia. That's a more common in the beauty aids world. If you see Pangamia oil, that's really Karanja. And what's unique is that Karanja is a legume, and it grows like a legume, and it's so therefore it feeds itself because it fixes nitrogen out of the atmosphere into the soil. And so it's really good for soil remediation projects. Plus, you have this oil. Well, they didn't know what to do with it. So who do you sell it to? And then the meal. They had set up with a old press. I don't know where they found it in India. Anyway, so I was back there for a few days. And I just remember getting up. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. And it was almost 90 degrees. And it was close to 90% humidity. And we're talking February. I thought, no, there's no way. So then they kept bugging me for about a year. And so finally, oh, really? Just give us one reason, one reason. I said, you don't have enough money. "Well, how much would you want?" I'm telling you, you don't have enough money to get me to move to Florida from Oregon. Uh-uh. Humid. Ron DeSantis is governor. Mar-a-Lago. No thanks.
Oh, DeSantis.
Yeah, that guy.
He wears clown shoes. He wears like
I know. I know.
heels.
Yeah, he's got this thing about height. If people, oh, never mind. I've known people like that in my life that height was a really big issue with them.
Yeah.
He's just an odd duck, man. Fuck. You know, when you think about it, what the Disney Corporation takes in the grosses in a year around the world. And one of their biggest properties is takes up the real story around Orlando, Central Florida. Why would you piss them off? Why would you get involved in a public relations battle?
Oh, when
I
they went
mean,
to war with Disney, yeah, it was
yeah, I mean, yeah, just like insane.
And then he learned he didn't have any jurisdiction.
Yeah. You know, what cracks me up about the MAGA crowd is this.
how they're all pedophiles.
Well, that too, but yeah. Um, what I don't understand is who came up with the idea that trying to be a badass and piss people off is a way to enhance them to do more business with you. I mean, it goes against every principle. You have to make a friend with somebody in business. That relationship has to be based on friendship. And that's not there, then the next guy that comes along and makes the sales call and can, you know what I'm saying? You don't, being an asshole is to accomplish anything. Like that cocksucker that's ambassador from the US to Canada, Hoekster. Okay, he dates back to the Tea Party that came about after Obama was elected, and they freaked out because the colored guy was in the White House. And that was the basis of the Tea Party, which is morphed into with even bigger fools into this MAGA thing.
Oh, I think that's exactly why they like how Trump got elected was people being angry about Obama.
Yeah, you know, most of this doesn't get reported to other countries, of course. I mean, but just in the last 3 months, over 350,000 jobs. I mean, I didn't know this till the other day that jet planes that, passenger planes, jet fuel is kerosene.
Basic, well, kind of. Most
Well,
it's
yeah, but
but yeah.
so I mean, we're hitting $9 at truck stops. And the thing is, every little lady going back to at least 1960s during Vietnam is a freight surcharge.
Well, if
So
the longer this shit goes, I mean, they just said today the world's like 2 weeks away from running out of reserve fuel,
yeah,
and see, Europe's gonna be able to not fly or hardly at all. Like the whole world's gonna like come to a screeching halt, and the only
yep.
person we'll have to blame is fucking Netanyahu and Trump.
Yep.
They're the ones that started all this. You know, Trump raping kids, and then the Israelis filming it, and then using it to blackmail them is why we're in this mess. Oh, it's we should be bombing Tel Aviv, not fucking Iran.
Well, it's about taking the eyes off of Gaza so they can finish what they started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fucked up.
Yeah, this guy's a crook.
Yeah, those fucking bastards blew up a dam today in Lebanon that holds like a large amount of Lebanon's water because they're fucking evil. No one, they're the most racist piece of shit evil culture on earth. Fucking Israelis.
Mm. When I was a sophomore in high school, there was a 6-day war. It didn't stop. That was what, 65 years ago, 61 years ago, whatever. You know, it's like Ireland and Northern Ireland and Great Britain. Just never ended, you know. What I don't get is this racism. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't get that part either. Why they're just targeting brown people over and over again.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous. Hopefully, we can use all these ICE detention facilities for Republicans and Zionists once we take power back. And we can reuse those fucking prisons, put them to good use. Round them
I,
up, use them for, you know what? Make them all go pick fruit in the field. That would be the ultimate perfect thing. Send them to the south, make them pick crops in July and
yeah, real.
August. Make them fucking slave away. That would be the perfect fuck, for years. And then send them up to Alaska in the winter and let them fucking mine.
Yeah, fish for salmon on the Kenai River. Yeah, I can see that happening. You know, fuck. I don't know. It's weird times, man. Weird times. Yeah, this guy that's the ambassador to Canada, Hoekstra. I saw him on a Canadian, is that CBC, Canadian Broadcast
Yep.
Corporation? Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And the interviewer was a very polite gentleman, seemed to be up on the facts. And this Hoekstra just was antagonistic as hell and just arrogant as fuck. And I thought, listen, he was an ambassador to Netherlands during Trump's first term 10 years ago, right? He was invited to, he was discredited, whatever you call it. Basically, he was sent home. And the Dutch government told Trump, send us another one, give us another ambassador. This guy's out. So he's just a Tea Party asshole from Minnesota. I think, or something like that. Yeah, he's just, a small time politician. Nothing. I noticed the broadcast from Canada really seem a lot more the host or the broadcasters, whatever you guys call them, seem more on top of things than the shit like it that's at CNN and especially Fox News. We fart, you sniff. That was my motto. So, hey, did you catch that story about the lady that was head of ICE or
Christy Nome.
Homeland Security? No,
Yeah.
and then her husband. Those
Yeah.
pictures came out that he was like taking balloons and stuffing
Oh,
them under a leotard, like he
so if you
had
go
breasts.
to Channel 9 News on YouTube, there's a guy or Channel 5 News. There was a YouTuber. He went and interviewed the girl that he was
Yeah,
paying to talk to. It's
yeah.
fucking
Uh,
hilarious, dude. Okay.
no, hey, you can't make this. This is the weirdest fuck group of people I've ever in my entire life. I've never known any guy that wore balloons under a leotard so it looked like he had breasts, and then paid a woman big money to talk dirty to him. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? I don't know. And, oh, Dr. Oz, really? Dr. Oz is our fuck. Well, we're not gonna do, it's just crazy, crazy shit. And I came from where Richard Nixon started when he got out of college or home from the service, World War II. His first law office was in the downtown area where I grew up. So I've been around these weird fucks all my life. Home of the John Birch Society. They were like these really hardcore anti-communist. Talk about conspiracy theories. They were fucking out there. They got started about 60 years ago, 70 years ago. Trump gets a lot of his shit from John Birchers. The superiority of the white race and just all that silly shit. Yeah,
I did see that the John Brown Gun Club is like massively increased since Trump got office again.
oh yeah.
That's good, Not, people that aren't white should have their own gun club. I don't know how much you know about John Brown, but
Honestly, when he got reelected, what, year and a half ago to almost 2 years, I just, that's it. I can't put any energy into it. It's too stupid. I mean, it's insanity. The people that he put in government, this Patel at FBI, drunk, sloppy drunk at that. And this guy, Nitwit, what's his name? He's the commerce guy. Find out he's been to Epstein Island with his wife and daughters.
oh
I
yeah.
mean, just,
How his administration is. That's how he hijacked the whole DOJ and everything.
yeah.
You were talking about people with little man syndrome before. Cash Patel strikes me as one of those people.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, does he not have the weirdest eyes? When he's
but the
looking right
worst
in the
one,
camera, it's like, whoa. I don't
Well,
know.
apparently they had to give him a women's FBI jacket because the men's ones were all too big for him.
the what was it? The worst one is Stephen Miller by far.
Oh yeah, he's straight out Nazi. I mean, he's
Oh, 100%. He's like
yeah.
Trump's Goebbels.
Hmm. You know, never mind. Yeah, this. I mean, it's just goofy. The guy that's head of the military, this was a Fox News broadcaster or something.
Oh, Pete Hegseth, yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
The guy who plays him on SNL is so good.
Oh yeah,
Oh God, he's so funny. So fucking funny.
and I know he wasn't part of the Epstein thing, but my God, RFK is certifiably nuts. Robert
Well,
Kennedy.
I am glad that he's been
Oh,
going after the vaccine companies and stuff. They shouldn't have blanket immunity, but the rest of it is pretty bad. But he has done some good things.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag with him.
He started arresting some of the COVID assholes that fucking lied about the vaccine and shit. That was good.
yeah. I don't know. The thing about raccoon penises, I don't know. There's something about he was, Jesus Christ, man. You can't take this shit seriously. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason. Farmers are going broke. It takes a lot of money to plant a crop. It takes a lot of money to get through a
Yeah,
crop.
you inflate the diesel prices to what they are now, and it- it's way harder to
So the
make your.
markets, you there's silos all over the Midwest full of soybeans and corn, nowhere to go. Ch- And just the other day, China cut us off on buying our bonds and treasury notes. They were the ones carrying the most of our debt. You know, historically, if you go back 100 years and mark Republican administrations versus Democratic and economic growth, tell me what you see. It's not even close. We had a recession under Nixon, Reagan, Bush Light, then a son. The one we had, they called him Shrub, Little Shrub. Guy, he was governor of Texas. Was it Trump's made like $3.5 billion just this term alone, buying stocks and bonds? I mean,
Then tilting the market.
hey, okay, our
Serious.
Speaker of the House, right? In our system, you only have two parties, but whatever. The party that has the most members then elects the speaker, and he's kind of in charge of everything, right? So he's in front of a camera. He's got like three or four of his goons behind him, and he's whining about what they make. We only make 174,000 a year, which is what we made in 2009. And what did he say?
20 years or something that hasn't changed, and it's like,
Yeah, it hasn't
motherfucker,
changed. It hasn't changed since that was,
make three
I know
times more than
exactly,
most of the US
17 years
leagues,
ago. Okay.
and he's pitching. It's like, no,
Yeah.
dude.
Okay, wait a minute though. Here's what he said. So we haven't had a raise in with rising cost. We're actually making a third less than we did in 2009. So we should at least be allowed to invest in the stock market because right now, technically, they're prohibited from investing in the stock market. You're going to allow 435 members of Congress cut their own deal with stockbrokers? Can you say insider traded? I mean,
What they need to do too is like we gotta fix this whole issue with red states having way too much representation, right? Like we need to
oh, I
fix the
agree.
House of Representatives so that
I agree.
each person is the equal amount of like represents the equal amount of people, and that means building a new Capitol building and expanding Congress by like thousands of people because or changing how much each person represents one or the other because right now it is not that needs to get
No,
fixed
I agree completely.
because if people were actually represented based on population, Democrats would just destroy everything right now. They would
Absolutely.
have like I mean in a good way. I mean they would completely control. I mean they still have their problems. Don't get me wrong, but like we would not be in the current mess we have right now, and Trump would be sitting in prison.
No, I agree. It's just, I don't know. I'm just glad I'm at the end of my life. I think it's going to be a multi-decade struggle to pull out of this mess.
Oh, it's gonna take a fucking at least 10 years to unfuck what this fucking mango retard did.
Not even, you're not going to do it in 10 years.
That
It's
would be
going to take
like
longer than
everything goes perfectly. It would be 10 years. The
that.
biggest thing we have to do, what Citizens United, and then we got to get fucking Israel the fuck out of our goddamn government. APAC needs to be declared a terrorist fucking organization. Those people need to be rounded up and shot. Like period.
Well, isn't Netanyahu facing prison time in
Uh,
Israel?
in Israel for corruption, yeah.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah.
every time he starts war, every time his trial dates come, you can predict 100% when he's gonna start some shit again by when his next trial date is, without
Uh,
fail.
Yeah.
you know what stuns me is some of the voices now on the right, the Republican, especially over there at former broadcasters at Fox News, you know, Megan Kelly. Man, they're really going after Trump on this.
Oh,
All the
because it's
promises
it's so
made.
obvious. I mean, I mean, look at the Thomas Massey shit. They spent millions and millions of dollars in order to try and oust the guy that wants to release the Epstein files because it'll show that the
Oh,
Israelis are just
Massey.
run by
You're
fucking
talking
pedophiles.
about Representative Massey from
Yeah,
Kentucky. Yeah.
yeah. Because their whole culture, like read the Talmud, it talks all about it's okay to rape boys under 9 years old and shit. Their whole culture is based on fucked up bullshit.
Yeah.
That's why they shouldn't like at some point the world is gonna have to address it and just get like we did with ISIS and Nazis. Their culture needs to be fucking gotten rid of.
Okay, it hasn't
There's
been
no difference.
broadcast in this country that much yet, but there's a gentleman in Great Britain, and I don't know if he's a biographer of of the royal families. Okay. Anyway, there's some new stuff coming out about Fergie, and are you ready for this? Sean Diddy, that they had like a 10-year friendship.
Who did?
Fergie, the other Epstein girlfriend, the prince's wife,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
former prince.
Yeah,
Prince Andrew.
now I get what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty heavy. A member of the royal family at Diddy's parties with the Vaseline and the, Jesus.
It has been really nice to watch the drone attacks on the IDF the last couple of weeks, though. They are getting their asses handed to them, and it is really
Who?
pleasant to watch every day. The people in Lebanon have been using drones a la Ukraine style
Oh
against
yeah. Yeah.
Israel, and they are just getting their asses handed to them. It is nice
You
watching
know,
a $600 drone take out a $2 million Iron Dome launcher is fucking like French kiss.
before the whole Beirut thing got started, Beirut was considered to be like the Paris of the Middle East.
Yep.
It had money, uh, a very educated population. As far as the drug scene, we were getting red Lebanese, blonde Lebanese, this other one called paper dynamite that was real thin layers that were covered in plastic on the top and the bottom. You had to take that off till you got to the actual slab of hash. But some of the best it was all sativa hashes,
Mhm.
so made it really different than the obviously the stuff out of Afghanistan and Pakistan. Smoked a lot of Lebanese hash, especially the red. It was all over Germany and Holland, and there was no weed then. You couldn't find weed anywhere. It was strictly hash, and a lot of it, cheap too. Like a kilo was, say, the Lebanese, you could buy for 350 if you had cash. If you did it on payday stakes, it was more. There was some credit involved. But shit, you sell it to your fellow guys that were in the army with you, because everybody smoked. So you could make good money if you treated people fairly, and you could build a good business. So yeah, I remember we would always buy ounces, and you smoked it in regular pipes, but you take it and you heat it up, part of your slab, and then it would soften the hash and make it more pliable. And then you'd pack it in the bowls and pack 3 or 4 pipes and sit in a big circle and just pass these bowls around till everybody, you know, went to La La Land. Yeah, we were hardcore hash smokers, that's for sure. It was so cheap.
So all I smoke these days is hash. I mean, I'll smoke flower if I'm out in public because most people can't just smoke hash. If I go to a bar or something and I want them to smoke a bowl, people don't want to. People don't know how to like just smoke weed and alcohol or have alcohol at the same time.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a police chase.
It was weird because I was in high school when we were buying ounces didn't happen till the 70s. You bought a lid.
Finger lid, yeah. Or finger lid.
Okay. And by God, if you didn't get 45 to 50 joints, you're like shaking your fist at the fellow that you bought your weed from that you got, ripped off. So it was a lot of weed and not good weed at all. All this nostalgia shit. Oh yeah, I remember the 60s. Yeah, I do too. It was terrible. Wheat straw papers, the yellow ones. and shady brickweed out of Mexico? I don't think so. The first like named weed was probably because the song came out first, and then the weed Panama Red. Was it from Panama? I don't know. Was it red? No. Uh, anyway, that started the thing was Panama Red, and then the shit years of the Colombian, but it was 76 or 77 Christmas. The first tie sticks came into Laguna Beach through the Brotherhood, and then all the stories. They dip those in opium. No, it's just good weed. Oh no! I have a guy he knows. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're gonna waste opium on some sticks or
Yeah.
something to America. Yeah, sure. Okay. And they came in 10-kilo packs, and they were rice paper, and then tied with silk yarn. Excuse me, not silk. It was a twine type thing, but it was red in color, which is good luck colors. And there was 22 pounds, and 10 pounds were sticks, and 2 pounds. Of course, you have to name it. They were called Buddha buds because they were untied buds. So of course they became Buddha buds or whatever. But yeah, that was the deal. And to put that in context, at the mid wholesale level that guy was at, I sold ounces for $300. Okay. And so that made pounds were $3,200. And in today's money, that's closer to $7,500 for a pound. That means that you would be spending the equivalent of
At that point, you might as well just get a coke habit.
like $1,000
For
a
that amount
pound.
of money, fucking A.
Yeah. But that only lasted like a few short months because our good friends in Baja got the seeds because it was very seedy. The first sticks were not Sensimilla at all. And they got their hands on the seeds in Mexico. And the next year were these really weird looking tie sticks. Instead of being like tied with silk thread, they were silk from Joanne's fabric store, thread from there. So you could just look at it and go, wait a minute. It kind of looks like a tie stick, but not really. But anyway, so that kind of like it was a lot of work getting, in 1978, 79, getting loads out of Thailand into, Laguna Beach. A lot of logistics involved.
Yeah, Thailand's really gone downhill a lot. They just declared like a new crackdown on cannabis public and people growing without permits.
You said Thailand?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know the last couple, I think I only know one Westerner left that I can think of. No, two, but the one guy is basically like a monk at this point. So he's not even he's not doing the weed shit no more. But I only know
Oh,
one person that's still in the cannabis game there.
when you were doing that thing, I thought to myself, you know, this is
Fun.
a
Well,
country. setting aside the canvas, just forget that for a minute. But just looking at the political history of Siam that became Thailand, uh, to say that it has evolved and changed over the decades would be an understatement. And so you're only like a new guy away from it being turned to shit.
Yep. No,
You know,
that's the
like,
thing.
you
Not
know,
only that, but like, so when I was there, they had the elections, right? And the Orange Party won. I can't remember the party names. It's a whole thing. Anyways, they the party that won, well, so they have like a separate parliament that's like part of the military
oh
that
yeah,
acts as like a co-equal branch or whatever, and they like overthrew the will of the people and then
that's
re-elected the
exactly.
old guy in power, and like so there was no like, even though the
Yeah,
people voted for change, they didn't get shit, and it was like, okay, well, like, why even participate in a political system where they're just gonna fuck you like that? Like, that's the
that's
kind of thing
exactly
you boycott and overthrow. Like, you don't fucking feed the machine.
that's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
That the politics,
Even when the people want it to change,
yeah,
they,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. And that the military was mad because they lost all the money because the military grew most of the weed before legalization there.
Oh, is that
Right. So
right?
they lost their money train.
What
So
about the other foreigners from other were living in Thailand that moved there? Did they leave like what?
everyone's left. I think
Oh, really? Okay.
I think Arjan's one of the few people left that still has anything, but he's working with the government or some shit, so like it's a little different. But even he got himself into a lot of legal trouble because he was selling hash and shit, and that's like a big no-no. Like, you can sell it under the counter, but you can't have that shit fucking like out for people to see.
Oh,
That's a problem.
man, it's been a wild ride the last 50 years for Thailand because that they got drawn into the Vietnam thing, and then immediately when that finally I won't say resolved, but we quit killing each other. And then the
Me
whole
too.
Thai stick thing started, and
Yeah.
then drugs in general. So they've been through quite a turmoil in 50 years, you know.
Well, the Vietnam War largely like contributed to the heroin epidemic in the
Oh
U.S.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Because the GIs were doing heroin. You know,
yep.
you had a bunch of 18, 19 through 23, 24-year-old kids away from home, scared shitless in
Yep.
a war zone. Well, of course, heroin
Think
looked
you're
pretty
gonna die
attractive.
tomorrow? Of course you're gonna try heroin.
Exactly, you know. No secret there.
Yeah, that's
And if you got a bunch of GIs, you're always going to have hookers. You know that.
yep.
If you're selling drugs or pussy, you're dancing. I mean, you had a built-in market. In
Yep.
Germany, we were so close to Amsterdam. The GIs came
One
up there, young, single, they had money. Wow.
thing
How do
I've
we get
noticed,
most?
I
Yeah,
think one thing I've noticed a lot in countries that have legal prostitution, like,
yeah.
women are way less dramatic. Like, like if you just interact or date a women that are not, just a normal woman there. Because if a dude gets fucking annoyed, he can just go, spend the same amount he'd spend in a couple of beers and get laid and not have to deal with the bullshit. So
Yeah.
you got a lot less attitude problems and a lot less
Well, that
unappreciated.
works out. That works for both
Better
people
like
involved.
a much
Yeah.
better like they're better at communicating. They're just less bullshit because dudes don't tolerate bullshit when they can just go buy it. Like, it makes for a better society, especially when it comes to dating attitudes, for sure.
Hey, my wife and I have been together. We just passed the 47-year mark.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Eh, huh?
Say congratulations.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Well, like she says, I knew what I was doing.
You're taking her to
Uh,
Chippendales for the anniversary. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. Well, when I I met her. I had let's see, my son was 3. No, and he's turning 4.
Mm.
And I had a 1-year-old baby girl. So yeah, I wasn't quite a dating package, a single guy with a young
The
boy and
clan.
an infant.
That's all right though. It worked
But
out.
I had good weed. So we were rolling and not she and I, but my group, the weed gang, we had the connections, and it's a long story, but we were moving tonnage, and it was just stupid. Uh, get a front, a ton or 2 ton front. You had 6 weeks to turn it, and you had to get the money back to Detroit to get a bunch of guys named Santino and your cousin Anthony, and Guido. All of them had like so many vowels in their first and last name, was I couldn't keep track, but they all had white patent shoes, white belts, and polyester pants. That was the dress of the day for the good fellows. I mean,
Yeah.
we'd go to this warehouse in Michigan. Well, they had 3 locations. One was the money house, and then one was where they did longer term storage, and the other one was the shipping facility. It was a old farm with a barn, and you could get a forklift, anyway. And you'd go there, and all the bales had already been weighed, and they averaged how much the tear was, as far as the packing material around that. And then there were 2 decks, and each deck was uh, 35 pounds. So they were 70-pound burlap sacks and stamped industrial products from Argentina in Spanish. And they were all numbered to go off the checklist. So when you picked up your load, they would check which bales you got, and then that would be the amount you would owe. They had predetermined it. Everything was agreed to before you left. None of this. Well, I thought you meant, it was pretty cut and dry. Here it is. You owe us for
They
X
gave
number
too
of
much
pounds.
back in the day. There was way less drama and bullshit than ever was fucking legal side of shit.
No,
Like
it was always a straight business deal. It was no
if there
personality.
was a problem, that shit got handled quick. It wasn't this
Yeah,
fucking
real
drawn out
quick.
bullshit.
Yeah, like say you got, which we did at one point. One of our group got well ripped off, and you couldn't collect the money. So you go and you get in front of them. Say, here's the issue. Here's the person's name. Here's, blah, blah, blah. And then they take care of it. Just tell you like a week or so later, oh, yeah, yeah, the debt's been paid. You didn't ask me. I'm like, well, how'd you do that? It's,
Yeah. I remember this kid ripped us off for 2 pounds one time, and funny enough, his truck ended up on fire 2 days later. I don't
yeah,
know how that happened.
yeah. Well, yeah, you grew up in Philly.
Yeah, we don't fucking play.
Yeah, you don't fuck around in Philly.
It's also harder to hide when you know half the street.
Yeah.
But you know half the people living on a block. Someone does something stupid, everyone's looking for them. You know,
Well, the whole
neighborhood.
wise guy culture, it was weird doing business with them because they weren't stoners. I came out of an era where people that smoked weed sold weed.
Yeah,
Okay, not gangsters, like real gangsters, not,
yeah,
they weren't holding up gas stations. Okay, they
yeah.
were, yeah, and especially the guys that were made, the legitimate guys, they were like really strange. They had their own subculture, especially a bunch of long hairs from Southern California. See, we had Mexican mafia, the real guys out of Mexico, hardcore, the guys that filled up the prisons, in California, guys with 10,000 tattoos, and that's just on their waist. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I think that's the only time that I can remember where we got had any kind of issues having to go handle someone intentionally trying to pull some bullshit. Trying to think of any other time that I can think of off the top of my head. I don't really think like it just wasn't as much of a problem because you didn't want to get
No.
cut off from your sources and shit. And then also
Right.
like repercussions were way worse than they are now, you know?
Yeah. This is a dollar issue. You owe me money.
Yeah,
How are you going to pay it?
yeah,
Yeah. Well, they weren't there to be your friend.
yeah. Well, it's funny though, they were like in a way like so people used to go to their dealer's house, right? And they would sit there for like an hour because you can't just
Oh
go in and go
yeah.
out and all that. So you had like a therapist that you could go bitch about your problems, all this.
Yeah.
Like people kind of forgot that part of it that
Yeah.
like weed dealers were like free therapist or not free therapists, but like, you know, pick up your weed and get your therapy session. And people kind of forgot that, but it really was like a whole mental support network for lower income people that like just evaporated. And it kind of makes you wonder if like that isn't part of the mental health crisis in the US like, as a whole. You know, it
In
makes a lot of sense.
the late 70s, if you were selling weed, A, you had a stereo system because people came to your
Yeah,
house to wear out your carpet, to talk to you, to try your weed, to buy some weed. Then they got to take some of their weed and smoke it with, So
yeah.
you were like stuck at home on a Friday night, getting rid of your ounces. But see, here's the way it worked. Think about this for a minute. Okay, you talk about an era where, well, you weren't getting crazy wages, but let's say you got a pound fronted to you on for 500 bucks. Okay. And the typical price was $50 an ounce per Colombian or whatever it's called, right?
I don't think I paid less
So,
than 1200 for a pound out east.
so if you sold 10 of those 16 ounces at $50, you made your money back.
Yeah.
And you were left with either $300 or 6 ounces. That was a lot of money for a guy who was even a Teamster making a good salary. But to every week get an extra 300 bucks, you're shitting in tall cotton. So it was
Plus you're funding your own like I know a
yeah,
lot of my friends
exactly.
would buy an
You're
ounce, flip
right.
half of it, smoke the other half.
Well, you could sell your shit weed for 50 bucks and then you go to your dealer and get an ounce of the really good stuff.
Yeah.
Like
No,
Thai
I
stick. Yeah,
used to have mids and then like
Yeah,
edibles
right.
and then like KB, we called it KB, which was like kind bud, which was like better than
Right.
mids, but not super, the priciest stuff. And then we call them headies, which was like the stuff you actually wanted to smoke.
Yep. Always, and my connection, his name was Mark. He and I only smoked the finest. And so when I first met my wife and she came over for dinner, I had all these, not mason jars, but the jars that have the clamp and the rubber ring.
Yeah.
You clamp down. I had about, I don't know, 10 of those, and they were all marked what was in them, but and we hadn't got in the weed business, we weren't at names yet. So you named it after what it smelled like Christmas tree number one, Christmas tree number two, that kind of deal. And I was just pulling out all these jars and showing her uh, all these different weeds I had, kinds. She thought that was pretty cool. So,
I used to have Christmas trees as my like sample platter, so I would get the like Christmas all the
yeah,
pickle cheese charcuterie boards that have like a Christmas tree that had little bowls in them, and I used to
yeah.
put different weed in there on those. I have one in my living room and one in my bedroom that was like that.
That's where I got, I shouldn't use that word. Preferred sativas was getting the really good Mexican sativa stuff that was grown. They were trying to copy the Americans as far as perfecting the end result instead of just growing crap. So like Haka and Guerrero Green, the lime green stuff, and it had a really nice bright flavor, and you got really high, not stoned. It was a different effect completely. So anyway, I came to prefer that kind of weed that gave you a buzz, not, oh, well, I don't want to go anywhere because I'm too loaded. You know, I like to going out and go play some pool or have a beer with my friend.
Well, the other question is like how much of those old flavors and stuff was like the pesticides and shit, and like remember the some of it with like sparkle and snap crackle pop kind of when you burned it,
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
shit like
Well, if you thought there was a lot of BS at grocery stores in our era, imagine before there were grocery stores, uh, Goofball hadn't written his book, Cervantes hadn't written his book yet. So the mystery of growing cannabis was really elusive. Like you had to have special kinds of knowledge to stick a fucking seed in the ground and put some water on it. So uh,
not
they
only
kind of
that,
had you.
like when I got in, when I first started doing it, like pet stores were still the like safest place to get your shit, and a lot of pet stores would have like 1,000-watt lights for your reef tank and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tomato food for your terrarium and all that shit. You get all your shit there because the police wouldn't watch the pet stores. They were sitting in the parking lot of the hydro store writing down every license plate, but they didn't really spy on the pet shops the same way.
Cervantes had the very first walk-in store in the Northwest. Now there were places you could get stuff mail order, but a place where they had a physical location that open to the public was George Cervantes. And it was an old house built in the 30s or 40s on a huge lot and it kind of like off the beaten track a little bit. But anyways, it's still within the city limits. And I got to tell you something. This guy was dumber in person than he appeared to be in the media. He didn't know shit. He had products because he had written that book, Marijuana Botany. Still in publication, by the way. The one that advises you to take your soil and put it in the oven and heat it up to kill all the germs, uh, to neutralize your soil. Gosh.
And
And wait,
people like to wash their buds. That was another old fucking Cervantes thing. And it's like, why is this still a thing?
I know.
Cooking your soil.
Hey, the guy didn't. Here's the story. His real name is George Van Patten. And he's from this little tiny town on the border of Idaho and Oregon called Vail. Nothing to do with Vail, Colorado. And this place is in the middle of nowhere. Its population, like, I'm not joking, maybe 1,500, 2,000. I mean, small. And he came to the big city of Portland on the other side of the state. And he got a job at a nursery. Well, you need strong backs. in a nursery. If you're running like, say, a big place with 100 acres, you're talking thousands of plants that have to be attended to. And that's what he was. He was just a hired hand. And he put this book together. And because it said marijuana botany on it, it sold like crazy. High Times had it, wrote a story about it. He advertised. So he became a de facto expert. He didn't know shit. He knew less than shit. But he had the balls to put a book out there. So he got people talking about him. And then when they busted all the grocery stores in one day, they had all the grocery stores in the US on the same day at the same time. Operation Green Merchant. Cervantes left the country and stayed away for 7 years because unless it's a capital case like murder or rape, uh, after 7 years, if you don't get convicted, you get
Exposed, yeah.
charges are dropped.
Yeah.
I can't remember the term. But anyway, so he left and went to Mexico and hooked up with some other guys that owned grocery stores in Oregon and Washington that went to other parts of the world to hang out until their cases got dropped by the feds. It was weird times, man. They were like over 3,000 people got prosecuted, lost their homes. Uh,
That was under Reagan or Bush?
Bush. Actually, that's not fair. It was under Reagan because Bush won the election, but the election hadn't happened. The bus came down in the late October, so right before the election that
It's
year.
weird that they would do it at harvest season. That seems like not the time to do that.
Well, they got excited because the story goes, this is the story they put out. DEA agents working in New York or Philly, somewhere on the East Coast, busted a house, and in there they found copies of this magazine called High Times. And one of the agents or whatever started flipping through it and saw these ads for equipment to grow marijuana. So that became the bust, Operation Green Merchant. And they would hit every grocery store at the same time across the country so one couldn't call another. And they got all the big, oh, Tom Alexander, who you know,
Yeah.
he had Sesame Tips magazine.
Yeah.
They were after him. They were after George Cervantes because these guys had a big presence at High Times.
Yeah.
And that's when I learned for myself, not anybody else, not to have anything to do with High Times ever for any reason. And there were grocery stores here in Portland, the big ones that finally went out of business. They turned state's evidence and gave up information on who they shipped to, what phone number was called in, for the order, things like that. And I just hey, these guys are scum. If they get the heat of any kind, they're gonna roll over in a minute.
Yeah.
So, but hey, I bought my first lights from George Cervantes.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, I wrote for High Times back in 2014, 2015.
mhm.
And yeah, I got some articles on aquaponics and water conservation and some other shit on there. But I had like three other editors come and take the aquaponic cannabis class when I was teaching in Colorado. It was pretty cool. But my my dad was super stoked. I sent my dad a copy of the magazine when I got my first article published in it.
Uh-huh.
Dad carefully took apart he would went to Burdock's nearby and bought a second copy, and then he took that and then put it up in his office. And my dad was like it framed, each page framed, and it was in my dad's office. My dad was the head of warranty for Hyundai Motor America for like 20 years. And the head
Yeah.
CEO guy or whatever came from Korea and was visiting the office, and he was like, "Why in the flying fuck do you have a marijuana thing in your like just like
Yeah.
really?" And my dad is like, "That's my son, and he's super good at what he does, and he got into the best magazine for it. While I don't agree with what he does, he's really good at it, and I support the fact that he's like successful in what he does." And they like had this whole heart to heart about how their sons don't, him and his son don't like have on a different career path, but they're successful at it and all. They had a whole bonding moment over it. My dad thought he was about to get fired. We ended up like becoming friends over it. It was really funny.
That is. What plant is behind you, B?
Me?
I think it's a type of indica.
Looks nice.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. It's been a long, long time. But
Oh,
I think it was an indica by Synthesis.
okay. Hey, so what happened at Future Cannabis Project?
Got his shit deleted.
What's that?
Pissed off the wrong person, and YouTube took his channel. Took all three channels actually.
Yeah, they only have channel 4 left.
Yeah.
FCP4.
Yeah,
Huh.
all it sucks because that was a lot of really good knowledge. Like, there was some
I
bullshit
was
on
one of
there,
the
but
I was one of the first people he had on his show. He was just getting started, Peter,
there
and
was him and Growers Roundtable was another one that was really good back in the day that got deleted. That wasn't recent, but it just sucks that some of the best talks and shit have all been scrubbed.
Yeah, kind of sad.
so he
And
took down the whole library, huh?
I know, I mean, YouTube did for him. I think too, they kind of caught on that he was selling seeds on there, which is kind of a big no-no.
Oh, YouTube took it down. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know the story behind it.
No, I'm sure I'm sure there was some kind of someone was mad about something, reported him or something. It might have just been him promoting seeds too much. Who knows? Just one day, everything was deleted.
Ah, so all the stuff I'd done was I did one with oh man, I put together some big packages for him. Huh. Dr. Linda Scott, Lane Ingham's arch enemy from the University of Washington. She was on. The guy who worked for the USDA moving farms that were certified conventional and moving them into certified organic. Steve Dent, he was on the show, and Peter was kind of blown away. So
He had Steve Diver on a lot. I like Steve Diver.
yes,
I
well
talked to
that's
him.
that I brought him on the first time, Steve Diver,
Yeah,
and
he's
then he
cool.
brought him back.
I don't. The only thing I don't like that he's really into is the magnetic shit. I think that's funk, but the structured water shit. Otherwise, he's
Oh
all right.
yeah, and the Ormus crowd.
Yeah, I can't with the structured water or the
Yeah, yeah.
But
Uh,
we did a bunch of tests with that at Sylvia's. Like, I was like, okay, this is bullshit, but I'll entertain it. And not from him, from a different vendor. And it just was like laughably bad. Because what was funny was he was trying to claim this dude. They had these like I don't know some kind of metal in the center of like a silicone disc. And you
yeah, yeah,
throw them in the water and they have a charge or some shit. And I was like, cool, I'll call. I was like, you throw some in a jar, we'll go have lunch, and we'll come back, and I have ppm testers, and we're gonna test this shit. And as soon as I said test it with that, and pulled out the thing to test it, he
yeah.
was like, "Oh fuck!" It's like, yeah, dude.
Hey, uh, okay. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm retired. It's like I can afford to be an asshole.
You know what
I'm
structured
still,
water is called? It's called ice.
yeah. Okay. This was in the fall of 15. And Tad Hussey had his company up and running, I guess, a year at that point, year and a half. See, we all came from IC Mag. Jeremy Silva, uh, Tad Hussey, and a whole bunch of other guys. And so Tad called me and he said, "Boy, you're really a big deal at IG." And I said, "What's IG?" He says, "Instagram." And I said, What's Instagram?" And he says, "You really don't know, do you?" And I said, "No." So he told me about it, and I said, okay." And I didn't think much of it. So a couple of days later, I decided, "Nah, I want to see what this is about." So I've always used Clackamas Coot. So I went over there and I got an account. And the next day I called Tad and I said, "What's a follower?" He goes, "Oh, did you get it to you?" I said, "Yeah, 850." And he was just freaking out. "I've been on there for a year and I only have, whatever it was, 300 or 400." Okay, so this went on for about 4 or 5 months. And on Sundays, especially weekends, I get up really early and read articles or something on my iPad.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about this Instagram thing. And this is where I got really fucked up. Zuckerberg had only purchased it a few months before this. So it's still kind of in its raw form. And so I just thought, this is stupid. Anyway, I pulled the plug on my account, but I had I was curious. I was up to 36,700
Nice.
followers. Wait, okay, this gets better. So I was gone for a couple of years, and there was a reason I had. It didn't matter. So I renewed my account, and this time I ran it up to 42,000 in 6 months. And the reason for having the account passed, and I didn't need it, and I just pulled the plug, and I haven't been back since. But what cracked me up is the amount of money that some people and organizations spent to have any kind of a presence on
Oh yeah.
Facebook or Instagram. I couldn't fucking believe it. And the first person that jumped in my shit was none other than what's her fucking name? Oh, Dragonfly, whatever her name is. I can't remember. It doesn't matter.
Kelly.
Huh?
Kelly.
Oh yeah, Kelly and Josh. That's right. Anyway, because she had never been at IC Mag or the other venues, I had no idea what I'd never heard of Dragonfly. Didn't give a shit. But she jumped in my shit about neem oil, about it plugging the stomatas, and I said something really crude to her, and that was the war started. And if you so much as mention Clackamas Coot on one of her threads, you are banned. I mean, right now. Uh, some of the stories that came back to me about her, if you mention my name and her presence, she would freak out because I didn't pull any punches. I was still drinking then. And there was just an instant dislike. What I could never figure out is that she's charging $60 for a pound of kelp. $60. That means a bag is worth 3,000. A bag that costs $55. I mean, really?
I don't know. I don't use any other inputs, but I have seen their grow. Their grow is really nice.
Oh, I know. Just I don't. Here's the part I don't understand about the cannabis sector at all. It never made sense to me, and I quit trying to figure it out. The only way you can be successful is you have to find something that is so uh, egregious about the other person's product. That's your marketing program.
I don't know, I think that's why people like Jeremy Silva do really well because they just put out educational shit and kind of stay in their lane, you know.
Hey, Jeremy was. I remember this is like 2012, 2011, and Jeremy was called Mile High Guy on Instagram. That's how I got to know him. And he would ask me questions every day. And then one day I said online, maybe you should write some of this stuff down. And then later he told me when well, that's another story. Anyway, when he got it up and running, he told me how he started. He bought a bag of kelp meal and packed it up into 5 pound bags and started mailing it. And he was living at home. And then within 2 years, he had 180 employees. I didn't finish my story. Just on the aloe vera powder, it was 200x. Meant that if you added 1 gram of powder to 199 grams of water, you had 200 grams of aloe vera. That's how they move aloe vera around the world. You're not going to ship, you can't afford to ship liquids. Okay. Just on that sale with that one item covered his payroll. I gave him here's the sources for all of this. I set him up with Aneen from Neem Resource in Minneapolis, St. Paul. He was doing business with concentrates here in Portland. You know, the guy was smart. He set that thing up and he just made money. And like Steve said, man, so he provided information. You look at that body of work on his site. I mean, videos going back 6, 7 years.
He did get into it with Tad recently. That was really funny.
Oh, I know
But Tad
that.
doesn't do shit. He doesn't grow weed. He doesn't smoke weed. It's like how are you gonna be a brewmaster if you don't taste your alcohol? Like it doesn't work, you know.
Hey, Dad had a partner by the name of Tim Wilson. He went by the name Microbe Man.
I know Tim Wilson. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I know Tim. He lives in Costa Rica or somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah. The last thing. Okay.
where it speaks Spanish. I forget exactly where.
I when I met him, he was up in Vancouver. And he was really big, fuck, on compost teas. Blah 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 blah. And yeah, that whole compost tea thing with the whole deal was it was a scam. Finally, Tad had to admit it in one of his broadcasts that the whole concept of the high fungal tea had no basis in science. It wasn't effective against powdery mildew. Um,
I mean,
for the most,
would you call IMO liquid IMO? Would you call that? I guess you could kind of say that that's a tea, but it's not really.
no, I'm talking about the ACT, the aerated compost tea, where you have a air pump with a diffuser and through these bubbles and some kind of special shit, you're going to grow these colonies of fungi. And no, you're not. First of all, they're not waterborne. It's just, it doesn't matter. The woman's dead. Compost teas got limited to the cannabis sector by 2008, 2010. It was over. And it just didn't work. It's simply the claims are so egregious. It's just, oh, never mind. When you're head of a department at a state university, you can't put out claims under the mantle of your position. You have to have science. I mean, certain departments, and especially botany, agronomy. I mean, this isn't a grocery store.
I've had pretty
Yeah,
good luck with compost teas, but you have to do them right. If you don't know what you're doing, you're just not going to get any different results.
yeah. I
I have
can
a
tell
special
you.
way of making them.
If you do,
Put the
if you have
compost
really good
on the
active,
soil and add the water.
There you go. There you go. You put the biology on top of the soil, you water it in, and you call it a day. That will add biology to your soil. Putting it in water and bubbling it for some specified hour to achieve. Are we going for protozoa? Are we going for fungi? Are we going to have a bacteria? I mean, it. Never mind. It was never part of a serious agricultural project. Never. Big universities in the South and the Southeast tested the fuck out of this stuff. Clemson did. Clemson is home to one of the greats of in the farming sector, Dr. Sen, Senn. He wrote the first. He started studying uh, seaweed in the late 40s. He's the one that did the work for the Maxi Crop Corporation on extracting it. He
we
did
noticed.
work with Dr. Faust in the early 70s, where they were taking fresh kelp from the North Atlantic and extracting humic and fulvic acids from them.
Yeah,
I mean,
North Atlantic kelp is clean, but I've had 6 or 7 farms now that was heavily overusing maxi crop. And now again, this is using it well beyond what the label says. So
look, let me just make it one more time. Sorry. There is a world of difference between kelp meal and seaweed extract. Seaweed
yes,
extract in the United States, by law, by federal law, the USDA, has to be made with potassium or sodium oxide. The same shit that's in Drano. They take the fronds out of the ocean, they wash them off, they put them in a chamber, they apply one of these two chemicals, and they burn it to a crisp. That's why it's black. It's been burned, it's charred, it's burned. You can't destroy a mineral. That's a law of physics. Kelp meal is a piece of a living organism that has all kinds of polysaccharides, there's all kinds of minerals, there's everything. You can't compare kelp meal with seaweed extract. And by the law, international law, any material out of the ocean that's been processed must be called seaweed extract. Kelp meal is a completely different animal. They take it out of the ocean, they wash it off, they dry it, they chop it to size, and there it goes.
The problem I've seen and had people fail state testing for not a farm that I set up, but I took over and unfucked it on multiple times. Was people gross? Basically, they looked at MaxiCrop plus iron and were like, "This is organic. It has iron. We'll just dose this for the iron." Well, you can't
Yeah.
if you're dosing for 2 to 3 parts per million iron on it, you're going to way overdose the kelp, and then you end up with arsenic toxicity. Like arsenic ends up being a heavy metal issue, but it's only if you're overusing it. Like if you're using way too much of it, then it can be a problem. But
I,
I've
I
seen it
mean,
both in the cannabis flower that had too much arsenic and in the soil itself and the water as well. All three.
okay. A cubic foot is approximate for this limited discussion is approximately 7.5 gallons. Okay. My recommendation for an entire cubic foot is 1 cup of kelp meal. I want to keep stressing that. It's disingenuous to keep bringing up an extract which is made through chemical extraction. It's like saying an apple and applesauce or an apple and apple juice or apple flavored yogurt. I mean, it's the same silliness. That's the problem with the grocery store mentality is that everything is an equal. No, it isn't. Urea is not the same thing as nitrogen oxide. I mean, but urea is cheap, was. You mix it
Yeah,
with water,
it's
you
not
put it in a
anymore.
bottle.
Not post Iran war. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, when 70% of the world's fertilizers go through that strait, I'd say Iran's pretty much got the world by the short and curlies.
Oh yeah, and not only that, like if they restart this war, it is like they're just gonna immediately target all the fertilizer shit. Like they've already said that, and you're gonna, you think it's bad now, it's gonna get way worse.
You know, it's one thing to be a tough guy for the hillbillies in the South. I kind of get it. All right, draws votes. But that shit doesn't fly on the international stage. We can't even slap Canada around. How in the fuck are you gonna slap Iran around? You know, what a lot of people forget, up until the incident with the hostages, Iran, granted, one of the worst dictators in the history of the human race, the Shah, he was educated at Harvard or West Point. Okay. He was in tight with the US government, as was Israel. They were they were tight buds in the 50s and 60s, most of the 70s. There's a big block of history in that relationship between those two countries. And the United States has played one against the other for the better part of 70 years. I'm not defending either side, you know, but I'm just saying that it isn't as clean cut as the media wants to make it. We're the one that set up the Savak in Iraq, or excuse me, in Iran. They were like the secret police.
Set the Shah up, yeah. And then
Yeah,
you know what's funny is the Trump, honest to God, thought he was gonna put the Shah's son in power after killing the Ayatollah. And it was like, in what
good
fucking
luck.
universe is that gonna happen? Like anyone that knows Middle Eastern history is there's no fucking way, dude.
No. Hey, we brought on the whole Iranian thing in 79 or whatever it was. That was strictly the US pushed Iran into the corner. And it was all over the Shah. He was Nixon's buddy in the early uh, part of his administration. There's a complicated history with Iran in the United States. And most of the problem's been, as usual, the
US.
US and the
Yeah,
CIA
yeah.
and the DIA and the what was it they called? Oh, the Peacock Throne. That was the Shah's.
Did you see this? Costco introduced glasswing sharpshooters to fucking Napa Valley.
For
It's an
what?
insect I've never heard of before. Glassy wing sharpshooter.
Huh.
Oh, it's this guy.
What do they do?
They fuck up grapevines.
Oh, well, there's another one. The number of
It was spread, but they figured they traced it back to Costco wholesaler in Santa Rosa received a shipment of them from some other part of the country.
hmm,
And then they got out into the fields already.
I don't know about California, but here in the Willamette Valley, the number of vineyards that have cut back.
Oh yeah,
Or
it's bad.
okay,
The youngins aren't drinking the same way.
no, that's what I understand from what I've read, and I don't, that the Gen Z, whatever, aren't the drunks that we were, and maybe you were, your generation. And so that's to me is fascinating because that accounts for the number of tap rooms that have gone under, the reduced amount of sales, uh, and the Canadian uh, blockade or whatever you call it about American liquor is it's like $68 billion a year. I mean, 68 here, 100 there. Pretty soon you talk about a lot of money.
Right?
I mean, we have okay. One of the biggest trucking companies in the world probably is UPS. They're paying drivers 150 grand to go home. Buyouts. That's scary shit.
I'm sorry, I
I
just saw
see.
chat. I didn't realize there was so much in chat going on. I missed. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, not at all. Yeah, but I don't know. If you're gonna smoke bad, well, that's not really weed. I don't know. You guys, I would you go buy a pre-roll?
The only time I've ever bought pre-rolls in the last 5 years was when I was like out with friends somewhere not near home and didn't have,
Right, right.
didn't have anything. And then I'd only get the ones that have hash in them. I don't get I'll get an
Oh,
infused pre-roll or something, but I'm not gonna buy regular pre-rolls.
it's a really good deal for the grower because let's take Wes. We'll make okay. So Wes, he can produce on consistent basis. basis, say 10 pounds a month. Okay. Now, in this state, it's different in every state, but in Oregon, you can't sell to a dispensary producer. You have to sell to a broker. And a broker then looks over his purchases, and this goes to processing. This one goes for flour. You know, you get the idea. They assess the load. Okay, and so now it's been approved for pre rolls, which isn't much of a standard. They come to your home with one of those Ford. What's the one called? It's the big one, the big van.
Trans-
The
Transit.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. And in there is a machine that grinds the flowers and then pops out pre rolls. And then whatever the contract is, but let's say it's that 1 gram a pre roll. So you get $1.25 for 1 gram instead of maybe, let's say maybe $200 a pound. You're going to get over 600 selling in the form of a pre roll. How clean is that? They have the technicians on the truck. They inspect the material. They weigh it. Here's what we owe you. They put it in the hopper, flip the switch, and voila, you got it. Pre rolls. That's a pretty clean deal. Why would you want to fuck around with flowers? See, I've never been in a dispensary, so like I don't even know what they charge for a pre roll. But yeah, all the tincture shit and the gels and this, and they don't make money. That's the joke. I've got a really good article with the statistics to back it up. I should send it to you. I mean, you wouldn't believe the actual money. How do you make money if you're selling ounces for $35?
Right?
Not much. Not much.
Doesn't make sense.
I just don't understand, even they're finally slowing down. Dispensary, I mean, there's some dispensary operations that have several, I mean, dozens of stores in the state. It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, interstate trend, when you can ship shit over state lines, hopefully it'll revive NorCal a little bit. There's not fuck all else they're gonna let them do up here.
Well, you were
Anytime,
part of it. Okay, just use your own as an example. When you went, it was not you personally, but there were a lot of that in that period, the Oklahoma Miracle. You can go
oh
as
yeah,
much as you want. You can do it's going to be like groovy and neat. And I kept saying, yeah, but it's still Oklahoma. Okay. Well, anyway, sure enough, the state legislature, well, that's not our reputation. Let's change the law. How'd that work
what
out?
what happened with that was they there was a ballot initiative and
Yeah.
they didn't think it was gonna pass, so they didn't spend any money to fight it really because they're just
Oh,
like,
the
oh,
one that voted in? Mm.
and then it passed by like 56 to 44 or something like that. And they were like, fuck. And then the whoever wrote it originally wrote in really good protections for patients and basically made it impossible to change for like 2 years where they couldn't touch it or do anything. And that was hilarious. Like they just were stuck with it. I think the funniest one of all of them was Nevada, where Nevada put the Alcohol Transportation Board in charge of moving the cannabis from the grows to the dispos. And the day they legalized the stores and opened, the alcohol people refused to transport the cannabis because it was a competition product for the alcohol. So the state had
Yeah, yeah.
declared an emergency state of emergency over weed so that people could change the law and then transport weed to the dispos. The other really good one that I remember, like of just the clusterfuck of like shit rolling out, was so San Diego County or city or proper or whatever. Or I think it was the county of San Diego. Or no, is it Garden Grove, Lemon Grove, near in San Diego. They passed this law that said like you can't be within 1,000 feet of a daycare, which like normally
Oh,
daycares don't count, right?
yeah,
But they were
right.
allowing unlicensed daycares and licensed daycares to like protest. So you had
Yeah,
dispensaries going around that had already invested like $2 million into their fucking dispo,
yeah.
buying up a bunch of daycares and then shutting them down the next day in order to stay open. So like the direct result of the poor planning of the city council, they immediately lost like 50% of the daycares in the city and they had to change the rule. It was like, dude, come on, like this is ridiculous.
Hey, one
That
of the
was the
big
funniest one I can remember.
when I was like senior in high school around that era, one of our big battle cries was they should treat cannabis, marijuana, whatever, pot, just like they do any other agricultural product. Well, guess what? We got our wish. There's no money. The farmer gets screwed.
Yeah.
Uh, the only one making any money is the broker, distributor.
Yep.
It is. It's just like regular produce.
Did you?
So,
Oh, you probably didn't see it because it's on Instagram. The Jade Nectar is a really good dude who digs up all the paperwork for DCC, Department of Cannabis Control in California. Just found a bunch
uh,
of paperwork. The former or the most recent head of DCC just resigned, and in her resignation letter said that like if she continues her job, it'll put her at legal risk or some shit like that. And it's because of they got caught like doing this whole pay to play thing for the bigger companies, letting them dump shit on and off the market. So they were like letting people unload stuff out of metric and then letting them backdoor it, and then also like bringing in out of state product and then
yeah.
putting it into metric, and they got caught, and it's like documented, and then it's like, anyways, there's it's not often there's a paper trail that's as clean you can sit there and read from, but he's got a great video. If you're watching this, check it out on Instagram for Jade Nectar. He just did a whole printed it out and just sat in his farm and then read the whole thing to the camera. It's fucking great.
I think it was you that told me this, that Instagram has turned into basically a whole bunch of video ads.
It's switched mostly to video now. Yeah, it really sucks.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to compete with TikTok, and it's like, don't like you're already your own thing. Like, why are you trying to be something else? It doesn't make no sense.
So I got to ask a question. How does one be an influencer? Is it like an approval board?
No,
Do people
you just
vote on it or what? How does
get
it
enough
work?
followers to matter, and then you can get
Oh,
ads,
okay.
and people will pay you to like run ads on your shit or plug stuff, or they'll give you a commission on sales, or that's how most of these people are making money.
Okay, I need to add this. So there came a time again. I needed Instagram, but not didn't want the Clackamas Coot thing. So this time I used my favorite nom de plume, Turd Blossom Consulting, and unfortunately, I write like I talk, so it wasn't too many days, and all of a sudden, yeah, aren't you Clackamas Coot? Yeah. Uh, it was still, like I said, Zuckerberg had just bought it. So wasn't completely fucked up. Uh, See, I've never had a Facebook account. Well, I did for 20 minutes.
The only thing I ever use mine for anymore is for marketplace because most of
Uh,
Craigslist is on there now.
yeah, that's
Unfortunately.
why I understand that marketplace is good for a lot of things.
Oh, it's
Business.
great if you need to find stuff, especially when
Yeah,
my son was born and shit. I got so much good free shit off of there for my kiddo.
I didn't know this. Zuckerberg laid off 8,000 developers this week, and so I don't move in those circles. But the average salary is 350 a year.
For what?
It's just like fuck
For what?
for Meta
Oh,
as a software developer.
yeah, but they're all gonna not exist and AI can do it.
They can't see AI can write certain languages, but, and there's always a but, it isn't that easy. It isn't that straightforward. If there's anything that's a level of misinformation about what AI is and what it isn't, and what its threats and realities are, is it's written by people that can barely turn the computers on. You get into a scripting link, whatever. It's not as there will come a time. There's no question about it, but it's not going to be in. Well, I don't have much of a lifetime, but it won't be even. It's going to be decades.
This is an article I wanted to share on the show today. Dog shoots woman with shotgun at Nebraska convenience store.
Why not? Why not?
The guy had the gun mounted in the truck, and I guess the dog jumped on the trigger or whatever and fired into the store. Anyways, I hit this poor lady. Didn't kill her, but it's just like, can you imagine the cop showing up to this trying to figure out like, wait, so the dog fired the shotgun?
You know, when you watch a television program of some kind, and they bring on like a typical mega type, even with the hats and the vest and everything, and you listen to the husband and wife, doesn't it kind of scare you that these people actually vote?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's
as-
getting late. I gotta I gotta get
Yeah,
going here before too
I'm,
long.
I'm dying to. I think we'll shut her
I always
down.
love chatting with you, Jim, though. That's always fun
hey,
to talk.
good. Hope you have a good evening and everything. So,
Yeah, you too.
Thanks for stopping by, Jim. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks for coming by. We always love having you on Tuesdays.
yeah, it was fun. Ah.